Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Greetings of peace and prosperity. Good day everyone. I am the first one to report the Module 8, which is the financial literacy. Okay, so in some instances, teachers are confronted with issues and concerns on financial debt, being victimized by fraud and other related scams, both personal and electronic ways. Okay, more so, some teachers are drowned by emergent financial needs and unexpected debt, especially in difficult times in sickness and in inevitable circumstances and calamities. Others do not prepare for their retirement that they usually end up highly frustrated. Okay, so this is the reasons why financial literacy has been a subject in many faculty development programs, seminars, and even becomes a topic for researches. Okay, so what is a financial literacy? Financial literacy is a core life skill in an increasingly complex world where people need to take charge of their own finances, budget, financial choices, managing risks, savings, credit, and financial transactions. Okay, so others may wonder why do we have to be wise in making financial decisions? Okay, so the reason is that a poor financial decisions can have a long-lasting impact on individuals, their families, and the society caused by the lack of financial literacy. Okay, so take note that the low levels of financial literacy are associated with a lower standards of living, decreased psychological and physical well-being, and a greater reliance on government support. For example, is the situation we faced during the pandemic. Kasi in the early days of pandemic, there are people who have savings. Okay? So, okay lang sa kanila na hindi magtrabaho for a while. Okay. So, but in the later days of pandemic, some of those people who have savings have relied greatly on the government support. Okay, so why is that? It's because for that time being, for the time of pandemic, they haven't, or let's say they didn't manage their finances or their money correctly. Okay, so they spent their money without even considering when will the pandemic end. Okay, so in the later days, they relied on the relief goods that the government supplied. Okay, so that is why we have to manage, or we have to spend our money wisely. Okay, so when put into practice, correct practice, financial literacy can strengthen saving behavior, eliminate maxed out credit cards, and enhance timely debt. Okay, so let us move on to the importance of starting financial literacy while still young. Okay, so ACDAG 2013 stressed that in a recent financial crisis, financial literacy is very crucial and tends to be advantageous if introduced in the very early years as preschool years. Okay, so financial education is a long-term process, and incorporating it into the curricula from an early age allows children to acquire knowledge and skills while being responsible financial behavior throughout each stage of their education. Okay, so the national surveys shows that the young adults have the lowest levels of financial literacy as reflected in their inability to choose the right financial products and their lack of interest in undertaking sound financial planning. Okay, so bakit young adults? It's because young adults are much into fashion or something like, yung mga young adults kasi marami silang interest eh. So maybe that's the reason why the national surveys shows that they have the lowest levels of financial literacy. Also, parang wala silang interest in, sabi nga doon, wala silang interest sa financial planning. Okay, so that is why the financial education should begin as early as possible. Okay, so to put it simply, the financial literacy is the capability of a person to handle his or her assets, especially the cash, Okay, so more efficiently while understanding how money works in the real world. Sabi nga nila, madaling kitain yung pera, mabilis mawala. Okay, so moving on to the financial plan. Kagan 2019 defines a financial plan as a comprehensive statement of an individual's long-term objectives for security and well-being, and detailed savings and investing strategy for achieving the objectives. Okay, there are steps in creating financial plan. First one is calculating net worth. Okay, so net worth is the amount by which assets exceeds liabilities. Okay, so in doing so, you should consider the assets and the liabilities. Assets that entail one's cash, property, investment, savings, jewelry, and wealth, and liabilities that include the credit card debt, loans, and mortgage. Okay, so in calculating net worth, we can use the formula total assets minus total liabilities equals current net worth. Okay, so second step is determining cash flows. Okay, so a financial plan is knowing where money goes every month. Okay, so documenting it will help you see how much is needed every month for necessities and the amount for savings and investments. Third is considering the priorities. Okay, so the core of financial plan is the person's clearly defined goals. Okay, so this includes the retirement strategy for accumulating retirement income, comprehensive risk management plan. This includes a review of life and disability insurance, the personal liability coverage, the property and casualty coverage, and the catastrophic coverage. Okay, third is the long-term investment plan. It should be based on specific investment objectives and a personal risk tolerance profile. And the last one is the tax reduction strategy for minimizing taxes on personal income allowed by the tax code. Okay, so financial literacy shapes the way people view and handle money. Okay, so here are the financial improvements suggested by Investopedia as a journey to financial literacy. Okay, first one is you have to identify your starting point. Okay, so calculating the net worth is the best way to determine both current financial status and progress. You have to monitor it over time to avoid the financial trouble by spending too much on wants and nothing enough for the needs. Okay, second is set your priority. Making a list of rated needs and wants can help you to set financial priorities. Kaya sabi nga nila, unahin ang priorities, that is the needs or the necessities, bago yung mga gusto mong bilhin, yung mga wants. Third is you have to document your spending. Okay, so one of the best ways to figure out cash flows or those what comes in and what goes out is to create a budget for a personal spending plan. Or if you're too lazy to create a personal spending plan, pag nag-grocery ka, ipunin mo na lang yung mga invoice para if maguluhan ka saan napunta yung pera mo, pwede mo siyang balikan. Okay? So fourth one is you have to lay down your debt. Okay, so living debt is costly, not just because of interest and fees, but it can also prevent people from getting ahead with their financial goals. Fifth is you have to secure your financial future. Okay, so retirement is an uncontrollable stage in a worker's life, of which the counterpart are losing the job, suffering from an illness or injury, or be forced to care for a loved one that may lead to an unplanned retirement. Therefore, knowing more about retirement option is an essential part of securing financial future. Okay, so financial goals are targets, usually driven by specific future financial needs such as savings for a comfortable retirement, sending children to college, or enabling a home purchase. Okay, so here are here are the key areas in setting investment goals for consideration. First one is the time horizon. Okay, so time horizon indicates the time when the money will be needed. Okay, so to note, the longer the time horizon, the more risky the investment can be made. Okay. Second is risk tolerance. Your investors may let go of the possibility of a large gain if they knew there was a possibility of a large loss. Okay, so those investors are called risk averse. So while other investors are more willing to take the chance of a large loss if there were also a possibility of a large gain. Okay, so they're called the risk seekers. Okay, so take note that the time horizon can affect the risk tolerance. Next is the liquidity needs. Okay, so liquidity refers to how quickly an investment can be converted into cash. Okay, so the liquidity needs usually affect the type of chosen investment to meet the goals. And last one, the investment goals. Okay, so once determined the financial goals and how time horizon, risk tolerance, and liquidity needs affect them, it is time for you to think about how investments may help you achieve the goals. Okay, so when considering any investment, you have to think about what it offers in terms of the three key investment goals. First one is the growth. That is the capital appreciation. Second, income. And third is the stability. It is also known as the capital preservation or the protection of principal. So that will be all for my part. I am Omoucalthom Malambut. I hope you learned something and thank you for listening.